So this video is for transitions in hue. One of the requirements for this assignment is to keep your hues fully saturated. Now, as we saw with tints, tones, and shades, we see that the S and B values change in relation to whether it's a tint, the S value changing, shade, the B value changing, a tone, S and B values changing. So full saturation is S and B values of 100%. Now this is very important for this assignment. There's a number of ways you can see it. We're going to focus on the most simple way at this point. You can also see this in the RGB values, but we'll talk about those a little bit more in week 4. So at this point, stick with the HSB in your color window. Make sure the S is 100%, B is 100%, and that'll give you your full saturation. One of the things we'll talk about next week are the identifications for these colors. The color wheel is set up in 360 degrees as a circle is, which is where these H values come from. It's basically pointing to a location on the color wheel. So, an H value of 200 is between blue and cyan. So this is a blue cyan, but our focus here is just on having a smooth transition of hue. So we're touching on a few things we're going to continue on with next week, but for now we're trying to keep this fairly basic. So an H value here of 200, we've discussed where that is, and we can see the transitions here in this example of 10 degrees. So we go from 200 to 210, and that's a smooth transition. We continue the transition at 220, and this file will be posted so that you can review it a little bit more. So let's talk a little bit about how to get there. We have a file here. This is 800 by 600 pixels. One of the things you can use to help you with your presentation is to turn on these extras, and you can pick which ones you want to show. I have the grid picked in the Smart Guide, so I'm going to go ahead and turn those on. Now you can play with this a little bit. The help file here will really help you kind of explore these ideas. And one of the things you can do is go to Edit. Now this is at the very bottom. It's below your point of view, but go to Preferences and then Guides, Grid, and Slices, and here you can change your grid. Right now I have a guideline every 1 inch. You can change it to pixels if you'd rather work in pixels, and I have 4 subdivisions to show me that each area is a 1/4 inch. It's a quick way to measure, and it's easy to turn on and off. I can just hit Control H and it comes back and forth. So one of the things we're doing with this assignment is using circles. So I'm going to go to my elliptical marquee tool, and I'm just going to make a couple circles here, and I'm going to put them on a new layer because I do want to do a couple different layers here. If you don't have your layers window open, you can go ahead and do it under window, and right here is the new layer. Remember, if you keep your cursor on anything, it will say create new layer, which is also outside your point of view. So we're going to go ahead and do this. Now right now we have the grid on. I also have snap on, so I can go ahead and you can notice how it kind of clicks back and forth. There's no kind of transition intermediate places. They're all snapping to the grid. So I just want to go ahead and create a couple little circles here, and then we're going to go ahead and fill them in with color. And all I'm doing here is holding Shift to allow me to do multiple ones. And we're just going to do a couple quick ones here. So the first thing we're going to do is add our first transition of color. Now we've already seen the 220, so let's go ahead and do something a little different. I'm going to do 63. I'm going to make sure the saturation and S and B are both at 100%, and I'm going to fill them in by using the paint bucket tool. And I'm going to do let's say 7-degree transition. So my next one will be 70. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and copy this layer. I'm going to right click on it so you can see it, otherwise you won't be able to see it. Duplicate layer. It's going to make a copy, and I'm just going to move it over a little bit. And you notice the smart guides are in there helping me align things. So I've got my next color already set. I can hit K to switch it to paint bucket, and notice I can just go ahead and fill them in real quick. And let's go ahead and duplicate that layer. Now this is just to give you a quick idea of how to do this assignment. Let's go ahead and move that over. And then one more transition of 7 degrees. We'll go to 77. And switching back to my paint bucket tool, go ahead and click on it here. And it's fairly easy. Now you can go ahead and do some different things. I'll post another example of something once I finish it to give you a little more idea. But hopefully this is fairly straightforward. And if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.